Hello students, I'm Professor Benavides and I want to talk to you about Lab 2. How to get ready for it, how to do it, how to submit it. So let's go ahead and click on Modules and let's make sure that we've opened up Unit 1 and then click on the Lab 2 link. Again, the first thing I want to look at the top is when it's due, and I also want to see when the closing date is. Why? Because after the due date, it's 50 points off. After the cutoff date, it's not accepted at all. So you want to pay very close attention to that. Also, you need to know that I will grade it after the due date. So you can resubmit if you've made mistakes, but pay close attention to these dates. If you want to resubmit and be in a 100-point scale, you want to make sure that you do so before the due date. Resubmitting after the due date puts you onto the 50-point scale. You don't want to do that. In this particular lab, it looks like we don't need any data files, so we just need to go directly to the PDF and see what we're supposed to do. So let's click on the PDF. I'm using Edge. I get an open dialog. I'm going to click on Open. And that'll open up in whatever reader I have. I have the Adobe Reader, but you may have something else. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and view this in read mode so that we can see it a little bit better. So I see that I'm supposed to do 3 things for this Lab 2. Looks like I've got one Alice project, followed by 2 Java applications that I'll use NetBeans for. So in the first one, Alice to NetBeans, I work on a witch, and it's from pages 107 to 113. Go ahead and work through steps 1 through 35. I do have some extra requirements. They're listed on page 2. Then I go on to the money changer. I work through pages 114 to 118, steps 1 through 15. See page 3 for details on the extra requirements. Then I see the last task, which is assignment 2.1, calculate interest. It's on page 125, and see the extra requirements. So basically, when you finish all 3 of these things, you're going to create a folder called lab2 underscore and then your username. Then you're going to go ahead and put in these 3 project folders in there. Then you're going to go ahead and zip it and send it to me. Do not send any .bak folders that are created from Alice. There'll be points off if you do so. So what are you going to turn in? You're going to turn in a Witch Brew NetBeans project folder with all contents, a Money Changer NetBeans project folder with all contents, the Interest NetBeans project folder with all contents. So to get ready for this, you need to read the chapters beforehand, and you need to review the procedures for submitting the lab assignment. You will be submitting your lab assignment through Canvas Assignments tool. I will not accept it by any other way, so if you send it to me by means of email, it will not be graded. So here are the extra requirements for the Alice to NetBeans. And in this case, we notice that I have some extra spacing, some tabbing, and I've also, let's see now, I have increased the duration of the say statement so that I can read it a little bit better. And I've added some extra code, and I tell you specifically exactly what to go on here, what to do. Align the curly brackets vertically. Create a blank line between the variable declaration and the rest of the code. Add the say dot duration of 2, and add a blank line before the new code that's added. So what is a new code that's going to be added? I want you to go, and I'm providing this with you because I just thought it was fun on here. I want you to go ahead and have the witch turn to face you, and have her say, "It's ready. Will you stay for dinner? Yes. Be back soon." Give these say statements a duration of 2 each. I provide you with the the code here, and I also provide you with the code to have the witch disappear. This is in contrast to what the author did in the previous lab. She had a fish that was in the pond disappear by going underneath the pond. It gives the appearance of disappearing, or actually it's more like swimming under the pond. This is just this is working with the opacity method, and I think it's a fairly interesting thing to work with. So I have you play with that. All right, so again, since we're just starting off, I give you the code, but then as time goes on, there's going to be less and less free code that you'll be needing to go ahead and work out on your own. This next one, the money changer, just go ahead and do it the way it is in the book first, and then add these extra requirements. So what are these extra requirements? I want you to align the curly brackets vertically. I want you to add, you've done these before, add a comment to the ending curly bracket of the main method, and add a comment to the ending curly bracket for the class. And then I want you to go ahead and make sure that once you do get to step 14, it asks you to put in a different number of cents, that you go back to 549 cents and recompile so that I get one kind of printout so I can verify that this is working correctly. Now, I'm asking that you go ahead and change the output. This is probably the biggest difference on here, so that it looks this way rather than the way it is in the book. Okay, so the way it is in the book is that it says something like, I think, total cents, and then there's no space down here. I think it'll look better if you say you have X number of cents, and this has to be from the variable. Please don't just type in 449 cents. This is being done by means of concatenation, okay? And there is an extra space here, and the extra space can be done in a variety of coding ways. I really don't care which one you use. You can use, like, for example, the S out. You can use an S out if you want to add a system.out.println. It's a very primitive way of doing that. You could use other ways that we've added lines on here. I don't want to give it all away, for I'll let you experiment with that. You can use an escape code. Okay, there you go. Use an escape code to add a line or on there. So that's what you're going to do in this one. So let me make sure you understand what's going on. Go ahead and type it in the way it is first. Then align the curly brackets, add the comments, go ahead and the book says step 14, test it out with different number of cents, fine. But go back to 549 and recompile. And then change the S out, the last S out, the output, so that it looks this way rather than the way it is in the book. Hopefully I'm being very, very, very clear on this. This statement here should be using concatenation of a string with the variable. And there should be a blank line here, and you can accomplish that in different ways using either escape code, or you can go ahead and you can just type in another S out. Okay? In fact, you can do this with a whole bunch of S outs or just one S out. If you want to do a lot of concatenation, you can just have one S out statement and concatenate, concatenate, concatenate. I have a tendency of liking of doing one S out per line. That's very, very, very compulsive. To me personally, it doesn't matter. I know that this is just a little type in from the book, but so you probably don't want to modify it too much. But I'm just discussing all the different ways that you can go ahead and have this output created. The last one on here, I go ahead and tell you, hey, match up to this rather than the book. Basically, I'm just saying, hey, we don't know how to format numbers and money correctly just yet. We get introduced to that in the next chapter, chapter 3. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and put in a $sign and a % sign, and let's just concatenate it. Let's just do that as part of the, as a character. So I'm asking for an extra requirement in this particular lab for you to go ahead and add a $ and a % and your output should match this screen right here if you want to get on the 100-point scale completely. I provide you with some pseudocode. I talk about the problem of integer division. Why? Because the author of the book has you type this in and has you type it in so that you don't get the right kind of output. You end up with a 0 for interest. And then she says, why? Why did this happen? And then that has to do with the problem of integer division. All right? There's a few ways to get out of it, and I discuss it here. But so basically, type it in the way she wants you to type it in. Fall into the hole that she wants you to fall into, and then fix it. Now, you fix it because by understanding the rules of the ladder of the understanding data types on here. So that basically what you're going to end up doing is making it so that the data type changes the output. I don't want to give it too much away. I don't want to do it all for you. So if you can just read the problem statement, type it in, and then just come back to here, I pretty much tell you how to fix it right here. Okay? I talk to you about the importance of comments and provide you with some resources. If you want to know more about the problem of integer division, okay, go ahead and click on this link. And if you want to learn more about the modulus operator, click on this link. It's a YouTube video. If you want to go ahead and learn how to check for your Java installation, go ahead and click on this. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so let's go ahead and pretend that you've done all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the desktop. Here it is. Here's the Witch's Brew, the money changer, and the interest. Now I'm going to drill down on these so that you can understand the structure of these folders. But remember, you're going to be sending into me the entire top-level structure folder. Please do not just send me a scene file. Please do not send me just a .java file, because you will get a 0 if you do that. You're to send me the entire project folder. Okay? So let's drill down on this. The Witch's Brew was a project that was brought in from Alice. And let's take a quick look at that. When we do that, we'll notice that inside the source folder, you have a variety of classes. The scene folder is where we have the My First Method, where we write our code. But you know that each one of these is a class. Okay, so the structure of this is a bit different from the more classic Java applications that we've done in the past, or that we're going to be doing right now. Okay, so let's go back to the desktop, and well, let me just go back to the desktop and let's look at the money changer. Let's contrast that with a Java application that's not an Alice project being imported into NetBeans. Let's go ahead and look at what's inside the source folder. When I do that, when I double click inside there, I'll notice that I have a file that ends in JAVA, and I have another one here that shouldn't be there. It's there because I was using a program called JCreator to run and compile this program. And I've told you a little bit about this, but what it is that JCreator is just something that it's another editor, and it can help you open up a Java code real fast, but it doesn't provide for any IntelliSense. So it's not anything that I want to go ahead and promote for beginners. So for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and delete the class file so that it doesn't, because it's usually not compiled this particular way. Nor am I going to double click on that to open it up in the JCreator. Notice in Windows here, I do get a quick view, quick preview, because I have the preview pane open. And you should know that a .java file is a text file. It is a text file. Okay? So that's why I'm able to go ahead and see the contents there, right? So the other things that we'll notice on here is that in addition to the source folder, we've got the bill folder. Now that's where you've got the class file. the file that ends in CLASS. This contains the bytecode. This is the stuff that's meant for the computer to understand. It's not written in anything that human beings can understand. And that goes back to the way, Java applications are compiled, and the fact that it's, platform independent, and, all that kind of stuff. So this is just to give you an idea about the structure. I'm talking about two important folders here, the source folder and the build folder. So inside the source folder, guess what you'll find? Your source files. The files that end in JAVA. Okay? This is where your Java code resides. The other folder, the build folder, is the class. Contains the file that ends in .class. This is the bytecode. This is for the computer to understand. Okay? All right. So we have source code, object code. Those are the words that programmers will typically talk about. The other one is the interest application. And here again, we have the same division. We've got the source folder, the build folder, and these are completed. Let's just go ahead and say that I've completed them. How do I submit this? I'm going to go ahead and right mouse click on the desktop. I'm going to go to new, and I'm going to go ahead and create a folder. And I'm going to call it lab 2 underscore and then my username. All right, then I'm going to create a selection net over these 3 folders, and I'm going to drag them and drop them right in there. Okay. Notice how I'm not doing any multitasking right now. Everything is closed. Do not be doing stuff like this when the programs are open. Do not multitask. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and right mouse click on this. I'm going to go send to and then compressed. That creates a compressed file. This is what you're going to send to me. Okay, so let's go back into Canvas, and I'm going to click on this submit assignment. I'm already on lab 2. Let me tell you one thing that some students get mixed up with. They'll do things like send me lab 1 for lab 2. So you want to make sure you're sending me the right stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go to submit lab assignment. I'm going to click on browse. I'm going to go to the desktop. And on the desktop, I'm going to go ahead and find that zip file. Make sure you select the right one. Lab2 underscore and then my username. Click open. It is now attached and ready to be sent. All I got to do now is click on the submit assignment. And then I'm going to be looking for on the upper right hand side, check mark, submitted, and I can go ahead and actually see what I've submitted. It's a zip file. In fact, I think I've set Canvas up so that it will accept only a compressed file, a zip file. So don't try and send me anything else like a raw file or anything like that. Okay, if you don't know what that is, great. Because you only need to send me a zipped file. All right, so then if you go to grades, you'll notice the icon looks like this. Now, that's because it hasn't been graded yet. As soon as I grade it, you'll see a score on there. And when will it be graded? That's right, after the due date. After the due date is when it will be graded, definitely. Okay, so that is how you get ready and do the lab. And if you can't do the lab at home, just come into our labs. Go to J119. You have everything you need there. You've got Java. You've got Alice. You've got that NetBeans plugin for Alice. You've got everything you need to go ahead and be successful. Just give yourself time for these labs. They can be rather time-consuming. That is the nature of programming, but it's kind of like those Excel spreadsheets in a small way. The first time you do one, it could take 2 hours. The second time, 30 minutes, and then the third time it's taking you 5 minutes to do exactly the same spreadsheet. So if it seems very time consuming now, don't let it concern you, because you'll get better as time goes on, but you do have to prep for it. Again, I highly recommend that you watch the videos in the unit overview as well as the videos that I provide. If you don't, you're pretty much going to be shooting in the dark, making a lot of mistakes on here. So other than that, that's lab 2. That's how you go ahead and submit it. I wish you the best, and I hope that you enjoy programming. It can be a great livelihood and an enjoyable thing to do, and can be a great career. If you have any questions about career programming, let me know. Be happy to tell you about it. Thank you. Goodbye.